Hello everyone, this is Kraus. I'm a member of the House of Tyrell, which is part of the Initiative, which is part of the Imperium. We're based out in Fountain, and this video today is going to be just some basic PI skills and an introduction to PI in general. I have many different accounts, and basically they all, 10 out of 12 of them, just dig the P0 stuff up, do some basic refining, and I take the P1 material off planet. So today we are basically going to labor under the assumption that you already know what you're going to work towards. I am producing wetware mainframes, so I need a variety of different P1 materials. But in this case, that doesn't really matter. We're just going to set up a planet and get stuff digging up. Now, the important skills that you need, if you open up your character sheet, are basically in planetary management here. The two important ones are interplanetary consolidation and command center upgrades. Interplanetary consolidation basically allows you, for every level of this, it gives you another planet. So at level 5, you can have 6 planets in total. And command center upgrades gives you more CPU and power. So basically you can put more crap on the face of the planet. These other ones here are mostly for seeing the density of the commodities and whatnot. So they're honestly not really that important, but you know, you might as well train them up a certain amount. Okay, so in this case, you can look at your solar system. And in this case, I am wanting to produce some water. So I need to find a planet that has a good density of aqueous liquids, which I just happen to know Planet 9 here has. So you can right click on it and go to planetary production. So this gives you an outline of the planet. You can click scan, and this gives you an idea of the density of all the stuff on here. So for aqueous liquids, you can adjust your slider here to get an idea. Obviously, where the white is, that's the more denser area. So those are going to be the places that we put our extractor heads. So this looks like obviously a pretty good planet. You're not going to get much better than 100% density. So ATQ9 is an oceanic planet, and we see that here. So we will need to set up an oceanic command center. So you're basically going to need two different types of ships. A hauler, and in this case, I'm Galente, so an Ideron Mark V has a big enough hold that you can drop some command centers in. And then you have your Epital, which will be your daily driver for going around picking all this stuff up, just because it's got a huge planetary commodities hold. So to start with, getting your Ideron. Look at that sexy beast. And we'll go to our item hanger. And we need an oceanic command center. So now, in order to put a command center down, you do have to be in space. Oddly enough, you don't actually have to be at the planet, so you can just undock, open the solar system, go to planetary production, make sure, yes, this is still the planet that we want to work on. And the first step is build, and now you have this option for an Oceanic Command Center. If you didn't have a command center in your hold, you obviously wouldn't be able to connect or click on that. So anyway, so in this case, drop that down there, and the first step is to click on it, go to upgrade, and because you're not a scrub, you've already upgraded to level 5 and all these things, so you're going to put this right up. Upgrade, and submit. So now this planet is ready to accept our buildings. Now before I forget, I'm just going to go back here and dock up, because knowing my luck, I would drift away and get blapped. So we can then go into our industry menu and open up planetary production. In this case, I obviously already have a number of planets already going. So we are just going to double click on ATQ9, which is the one we just put down there. So to start with, basically go to scan, take a look, adjust your slider here, however works best for you. I find narrowing this down as much as possible, and that obviously gives you a pretty good idea of where the hotspot is. So for this example, and for what I do, I basically have 10 characters with 6 planets each, and all they do is dig the P0 stuff, do some refining, and lift the stuff into orbit, in which I come every 3 or 4 or 5 days and pick up and take back to home base. So for this setup, I don't use any storage facilities or anything. Just drop a launch pad, drop a control unit. So this control unit is where we will make the extractor heads. And create a link between the two. The length of this doesn't really matter as long as you've got the CPU and power to support it. As things change, you'll pretty much keep your setup is going to be here, but you can move this extractor head all the way around the planet to get to the other hotspots. So we'll submit that there. Now we click on the control unit, and we need to install an extraction program. So as we see here, these are the commodities that are available on the planet. And in our case, we want aqueous liquids. And you can have up to 10 extractors on each head. Now, my preference is I usually set these to 2-day, 12-hour, because I usually come every 2 days and pick it up. And that 12 hours just kind of gives me a half a day leeway in case I'm a little late. So now we can move these heads. And obviously you don't want them to overlap, because you see as soon as they overlap you start getting penalties to what they dig up. So if you have them sitting nice and close together, and honestly at a certain point we're getting 55,000 average here. I like to have that at least 35. Not every planet is going to be as rich as this one. So we're going to start this extraction. So right now these heads are digging the stuff up, but we need to tell it to, once it's dug up, to send it to store it in the launch pad here. So once we come here, now we click on products and we see this is what this extractor head is digging up. you can basically click on create route, or after some of the new changes, you can actually double click right on that. It takes you right to create route, and you can double click on the spaceport. Before you had to click there, click on there, click create route. Now you can pretty much double click on, as we just saw before, and now we can double click on the spaceport. But you see, we get this, the route cannot be created because we've got so much stuff digging up here. This link cannot support that much material. So basically what we need to do is we can click on this link and go upgrade. Pay a little extra, basically doubles the amount that it can handle. So now if we go back into the extractor head, products, double click to route, and now it is being shipped to the spaceport. So great, that's all P0 stuff, but now we need to refine it into level 1, or in this case, which is going to be P1, water. So now we just need some basic industry facilities. And I just like this basic little grid type setup. Doesn't really matter. You just don't want them all spread over the place, because when you create a link, it actually does use a little bit of CPU and power. So we're creating these links here. And this is then create a link back to the spaceport. So big flashy red usually means something's wrong, and there is something wrong because we don't have them doing anything. So you click on each facility, and because it's basic, it will only allow us to do tier 1 stuff, which is good, which is what we want. So we're going to be making water. So again, you can either click on it, click install, click route, but realistically, after the changes, it's so much easier just to click on the facility, double click on water, and then double click on where it's going. That saves, like, that's a third of the clicks that it used to be. We're just doing this for each facility. And submit. But wait, it's still red and flashy. Why is that? Well, we told it what we're going to be producing, but it needs to get the aqueous liquids for it to refine, and we haven't told it to go from the spaceport to each facility. So right now each facility is ready to go. It just needs the raw ingredients. So in this case, now we go to the spaceport, and we can look at routes here, because here it says this is what's incoming. If there's some already in the spaceport, we could look at the storage, but there's no contents there yet because we just started. So in this case, we'll just look at routes. We know the aqueous liquids is coming. So we click on it, create route, and double click. Ta-da! Yeah, corny, I know. Route, double click. So we keep doing that for each one. like so, and submit. So basically, in an hour, it's going to dig up a bunch of stuff, ship it over to the spaceport, which is then going to distribute to each of the industry facilities, who in turn will then refine it into Tier 1 water and ship it back to the spaceport. So then in a couple of days, you can come out here, check where it's at. You'll probably have 18,000 water sitting in there that you basically can then just access the customs office and send it into orbit. And that is something I will go over in probably the next video. Just the daily maintenance that you'll have to do. So yeah, so that's that. Hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you picked up some tips that you maybe didn't know before. And if you do have any questions, feel free to PM me in-game, Cryos Borogamos, and I will do my best to get back to you. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Check in for the next one, and I will talk to you later.